Are you stuck into your rank in Marvel Rivals and you can't seem to climb? I know the teammates that we normally get play a huge role in this, but we can't focus on that. You can only focus on you. So today, let's focus on getting your rank up. I'll share a few ways that you can do that. Let me know what your current rank is in the comments so that we can see where you end up by the end of the season. Alright, so the first thing that I wanted to go over was changing your mindset. If you've been stuck at the same rank for a while, then humor me this. If you've been stuck there for a while, why not change things? Ranking up isn't all about aim, it's about decision-making skills and playing smart. So I highly encourage you not to tilt. Losing a match or two doesn't define your skill. Everyone, and I mean everyone, loses, so I highly recommend just letting those losses slide. I recommend playing to improve instead of just playing to win. If you slowly improve over time, then you'll definitely rank out of whatever rank you're stuck in. Also, one last part that I wanted to make in this first point was you're gonna get bad teammates. Like, you will get bad teammates. They are in every rank. I'm currently in Grandmaster, and I had one player on my team the other day just absolutely start losing their mind after one team fight, and they just started throwing the rest of the match because they just did not know just how to even act like a human being. So it's like, how are you going to reason with that? You can't. So unfortunately, you can't really control somebody like that, and you can't really control how certain matches go because once in a while, you're gonna have bad players like that. And there's unfortunately nothing you can do because you're just gonna queue in. You're gonna basically be queuing into a 5v6 due to poor like mentalities and stuff on your team. So I ended up losing that match that I was playing with that guy. And do you know what I did? I just avoided him and I went again because you win some and you lose some. And I think if I remember correctly, I just won the very next game because we just let that slide off and we just played to the best of our abilities. I love hearing bad teammate stories. Like, please share in the comments your absolute worst teammate experience. Like, I would love to hear this. Like, please let me know. All right, so the next part is going to seem semi-obvious, but I feel like I just need to say this, and it's just pick the right hero. Some characters are just simply better than others, and some fit into certain matches and team ups better. If you really want to rank up, play to fill so that your teammates can play their best roles. Like, filling and playing those extra roles that are lacking that match is huge. Sometimes you won't have somebody on your team that plays Vanguard. Sometimes they'll be short a strategist. Playing whatever the team needs will ensure the best experience for your team so that they can play to the best of their abilities, which in turn makes the match slightly easier for you as well. If you don't want to fill every match, that is more than fine and completely understandable. I try to fill where I can, but I'm not going to do that every match. I would at least suggest being open to it at least once in a while. I recently had a match where I was playing Duelist and I was playing awful. Like, I was genuinely just doing horrendous. It happens to all of us. So what I did was I switched to a third strategist for our team and it turned the match around and we ended up winning. So sometimes you're gonna have bad matches. It happens. Let go of your ego. Like, trust me, guys, nobody's gonna judge you for it. Who cares? The best way to combat your bad matches is just switch up what you're doing. Communicate with your team that you're gonna switch, and if anybody can basically cover your role. And as a segue, learn those other roles in quick play as backup. If you're a duelist main, that's fine. There's perfectly nothing wrong with that. But I would highly recommend learning Vanguard and Strategist as well. Gaining an understanding of every single character in every role will drastically improve you and your abilities to counter those characters when you go up against them. Now, this next part is going to be the biggest difference between low and high ranking players, and it is positioning, cooldown awareness, and game sense. Positioning is the difference between getting rolled every single fight and being able to actually stop your enemy. I have a full breakdown video of positioning and how to improve right here. So if you really want to improve, go check out that video. So that video says it all. So I'm not even going to talk anymore about positioning. Let's move on to cooldown awareness. Cycling between your abilities in a smart and effective manner is also the difference between starting off a fight strong and being able to sustain that fight rather than just going hard right away and then losing steam and getting rolled. Cycle through your abilities and don't blow through them all back to back to back to back. My advice is be smart about when to sustain them and when to go all in. I'm not saying that using all of your cooldowns is a bad thing, but all I ask is just be smart about it. If you see an opportunity where an enemy is alone and you need to use all your cooldowns, go for it. If you have a lot of time to spare before any kind of enemy gets close to you, do it. Just make sure you have that little bit of time afterwards to kind of escape and disengage to let all your cooldowns come back. Also, I gotta say, game sense is something that will naturally come to others, but for others, they kind of need to work on it to actually improve. Game sense is about doing real-time calculations in your head during the match. So basically, it's decision-making skills when it comes to engaging in fights, disengaging, knowing who to focus, time management, etc., stuff like that. I could go on and on about what it takes to improve with all of that and some of the categories that it covers, so I'll just go over the basics. My best advice is to go into a quick play match and work on these pieces one by one. So say one match, you're going to try and work on your engagement and your disengagement. When is it time to go into a fight? When is it time to kind of back out and regroup as a team? Then the next match, maybe work on target priority. Who has low health? Who's a squishy target? Should we put pressure on the tank so they don't just walk forward? What do? And then on the next match, work on time management with the objective of the map, stuff like that. Before you know it, you'll be subconsciously doing all of that so you can focus on other things during the match, and it will improve you as a player significantly. Okay, so this next one is a huge difference between the ranks as well, and that is ultimate usage. So basically knowing when to use your ultimates and when to hold it. There's a huge difference between strategist ultimates and the rest of them. There are different rules to follow. So I'm going to start with strategists first, since those are the real game changers of competitive play. Always, and guys, I mean always, coordinate with your fellow strategists so that you do not double up on your strategist ultimates and use them at the same time. Staggering your ultimates and using them at separate times is absolutely the best way to keep your team up for as long as possible and allows the rest of your team more time to make moves to win a fight. At this point in Marvel Rivals, there are certain ultimates that are extremely strong that will basically give your team near invulnerability for the duration. So characters like Luna Snow, Invisible Woman, Cloak and Dagger, Mantis, and even Loki are all great picks for this. I add Loki to that because he just needs to copy one of those other ones that are mentioned, and then boom, he could just do the same thing as them. So my best piece of advice is learn voice lines of each ultimate so that when you're on support and you hear like the beginning of a Doctor Strange ultimate or something like that, whenever I hear that, I hit my ultimate immediately. Like the second I hear that as a support, I'm ulting right then and there. You're essentially the counter to ultimates like that on the other team, and it's your responsibility to be able to save teams in situations like that. All right, so now all of the other ultimates basically have a different set of rules than that. While strategist ultimate are more defensive based, you're gonna be trying to make plays and go more offensive with ultimates as a vanguard or a duelist. One thing that I do a lot that's helped me make game changing and game winning plays is tracking their ultimates in a fight. Try to think of how long the fight has been going on, how close the enemy is to their ultimates, who has the ultimates on their team, stuff like that. If I'm confident that the enemy strategists on their team have ultimates, then I'll either try to pressure them with regular abilities so that I could try to bait them out, or I'll try to trade my ultimate for their strategist ultimate, because sometimes it's worth that trade. As long as your team doesn't stack ultimates that a single strategist ultimate can out heal, you'll be fine. That being said, there are certain combos in the game that are insanely strong that can still burst through any ultimate in the game. For instance, my favorite way to counter the triple support meta right now is to go Groot and Moon Knight. If you get a Groot to get a really strong ultimate, clump everybody in, and then you ultimate as Moon Knight, that will go through any healing ult as long as you follow that up with more Moon Knight damage. He is absolutely insane. So like use your ultimate and then use your primary, then your crescent on all the people that are stuck in that ultimate, and you will be shredding them. It is amazing. It's my favorite combo in the game, and in my opinion, it is the best way to counter triple support. So basically my main point of all of this is just don't use your ultimate just because you have it. The amount of times I've seen a player on my team or on the other team just waste their ultimate when they're hopelessly outnumbered is crazy. Like, yeah, you might lose that fight right now, but if you come back with a strong ultimate combo next fight, then you're more likely to win the next fight and gain momentum instead of just flushing that ultimate down the drain. All right, my next big thing I wanted to talk about was understanding what the current meta is and adapting to it. So at the time I'm recording this video, the current meta is triple support. Season 1, triple support is the meta. So how do you counter that? My best advice is to research it if you're unsure. There are plenty of YouTube videos out there from hundreds, if not thousands, of content creators looking to share information. A lot of them will be knowledgeable, some will just be looking for clout, so just make sure the person you're watching understands what they're talking about. I try to make informative videos here, but I'll be the first to admit that I don't know everything. I will happily admit when I'm ignorant to a subject, because in my opinion, that is the greatest form of growth. I don't know something, I better learn about it so that I can have an informed statement on the next time somebody asks me. And that's what I suggest you do. If you're unaware of something in the game and you want to learn about it, YouTube is the best friend for everybody for something like that. There are so many guides, tips, and all that stuff just waiting for you to gain knowledge. Not knowing something isn't a problem by any means, but to not know something and fake that knowledge and remain ignorant to it doesn't help anyone. That being said, going back to triple support, I really don't like this meta. I can't wait for it to be nerfed. All right, so one last bonus tip is to communicate and to shot call. I say this on almost every video and on stream all the time. The best way to help your team is to communicate with them and to converse with them. If you see an enemy on the other team that's low health, call it out. If you see an enemy that's out of position, call it out. Your voice is powerful when used correctly, so why not use this tool? Also, voice chat isn't just about making callouts, it's about helping your team as well. Are you seeing somebody struggle on your team? Ask them, how can you help them? Players that I've come across seem to appreciate it when you ask them if you need assistance or something to change in order to help them play better. It allows your teammates to play better, and it also gives a morale boost to your team. I feel like this part is obvious, but I can't emphasize this enough. It helps a lot if you do this in a respectful manner. Don't just start cursing or yelling at somebody just because they're playing bad. I don't think anybody logs onto the game to play bad on purpose, so communicate with them and be like, hey, I see you're struggling this match a little. How can I help you? I've done that in the past, and trust me, it really does help a lot. All right, so those are a few of my tips in order to climb through the ranks. I highly suggest learning them one at a time in order to maximize your potential as a player. Small steps in the right direction lead to the path of success. All you need to do is just put in the effort and time. I really hope you learned something here today. If anything helped you, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel and maybe even like and comment on the video. We're a small channel out here just trying to help, and I appreciate you so much for staying until the end of the video. I hope this helped, and I will see you on the next one. Later.